This is Talk with the Times at the Loudoun Times-Mirror in Leesburg, Virginia.
Hello and welcome to Talk with the Times. I'm your host, David D'Onofrio. Joining me today is Tony Howard, President of the Loudoun County Chamber of Commerce, and Stuart Schwartz, Executive Director of the Coalition for Smarter Growth. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks. We're back on the topic du jour, which is transportation. We're going to start right in. Stuart, why is your organization interested in the Loudoun County countywide transportation plan?
We were formed in 1997 specifically to address region-wide transportation and land use issues and to offer an alternative way to grow for the whole region and also offer options for each of the jurisdictions. And my involvement with Loudoun County began in 1997 during the debate over the comprehensive plan and zoning in that era as well.
Okay. Tony, how about your organization, the Chamber?
Planning is important. We're a fast-growing, dynamic county, and we're adding 10,000 residents a year and jobs galore, and hopefully more as we move forward from this economic recession that we're emerging from. And so we need to make accommodations for our transportation needs for today and for tomorrow and for future generations to accommodate the growth we know is coming and the growth in jobs and growth in residents that are still coming as you and I speak right now.
So folks know that the countywide transportation plan is literally the roadmap for potential future roads in Loudoun County. There are a bunch of dots and dashes on a piece of paper. Why are these dots and dashes so important?
Because it's the community's vision for how our transportation network should look in the future. And if you don't set the vision now as mandated by law, when and if the Commonwealth actually meets its responsibilities to properly fund transportation in the Commonwealth and in Loudoun County, if you don't keep your options available for future generations and for future boards and supervisors, you won't have the opportunity to put in that transportation infrastructure if you don't set the vision today.
And sort of some of those dots and dashes, you guys have some concerns about some of them. Why should we remove some of them? Why should we keep some of them?
Well, I agree with Tony that we need a plan for the future. To plan for the future effectively, though, you've got to do good analysis from the outset. And the citizens hired a traffic modeling firm, nationally recognized, to review what the consultant had done for the county and found it fell short. It used old-fashioned traffic models, not state-of-the-art, over-projected north-south traffic, over-projected traffic overall, and was a much more traditional estimate of everybody will drive in the future, we have to widen every road. And it fails as an approach. Any good business leader, like the Chamber of Commerce, for example, or any of their members, would look at this plan and tell their staff to go back to the drawing board. It's unaffordable. It's $1.64 billion to $2 billion. They'd say, go back to the drawing board. We can't afford it. It doesn't work, and it's based upon flawed analysis.
But at the end of the day, why would we take lines off? The possibility of future roads, the north-south connectors, being potentially 6 lanes down the line. Some folks are arguing that it should be 4 lanes now, that we should give away that right-of-way. Why should we be doing that in this transportation plan?
Well, we don't want to be in that box of that argument. I think the point is you've over-projected the demand, and you're creating lines you don't need and expansion you don't need. But we can't know the right answer until they do a different type of analysis like smart mobility this other consultant would recommend. What you want to do is look at where you grow in the county, how you design your communities. Right now all these isolated office parks mean every business leader is driving miles for lunch. I mean, we haven't designed a place that helps us reduce traffic.
Mixed-use development with residential retail.
In the right places, interconnected local streets, roundabouts for the rural cross sections. The Gilbert's Corner roundabouts are working a lot better and a lot cheaper than the 4-lane bypass highway that VDOT originally wanted to build. But that option is not part of this plan. They did a one-size-fits-all and didn't look at a set of different approaches that we could use for this.
This is not a funding plan. It may or may not be unaffordable. This is really about preserving options for future generations of Loudoun County residents. Listen, we have the best example of the world that if you don't listen and learn the lessons of history, you will be doomed to repeat it. Fairfax County and Arlington County took roads off the map. They reduced the right-of-ways. They constricted the travel routes. And there are neighborhoods and communities in those counties that are doomed to, for the rest of eternity, it would seem, to becoming major commuter routes. I will confess that I was one of those individuals that took the Beltway from Springfield to Tysons every day. And on that seemingly once or twice a week occurrence in which the Beltway was locked up, I found myself with thousands of other commuters making their way into Tysons Corner on local neighborhood streets. We would hate to see that happen in Loudoun County. This is really about preserving options for future generations of Loudoun County residents. This is not a funding plan. This is really about preserving the options for the future.
David, it's not a plan if you can't afford it. It wouldn't be a business leader's plan for their company if they couldn't afford it. They'd go bankrupt. What we fail to do in our communities is design them in such a way that you could walk, you could bike, you could take shorter car trips, and you had multiple routes that you could take to a destination. This business of simply trying to widen everything, I think a lot of cities, including LA and Houston, have tried that, and it tends to fail. The best you'll get out of this, since you don't have any money, is a few wider segments. What we're asking for is a different approach. There's a lot of good policy language in here, but we need some alternative scenarios analysis and some more updated traffic modeling. But in the meantime, we agree, let's take care of existing residents right now and address their bottlenecks, whether it's Waxpool Road or a particular spot on Route 50 or Route 7. Let's take care of that. And also the key commuters with better bus service. So this does define the future of the county. It defines where it would grow. It defines I think a traffic choke, completely auto-dependent future, and one that the county taxpayers and the state taxpayers can't afford to do.
Well, at least until the next 10 years from now when we do this all over again. Is there a way to find common ground before July 6th?
I think there is. I mean, I'd love to meet with the business community about this and talk about it. I think the citizens certainly would. I mean, remember Loudoun and the citizen group is typical of Loudonites. I mean, they have 3 degrees each of them. Highly technical systems engineers and so forth. They saw the flaws in this. They would be happy, I think, to work through a different systems approach to it. We think if they adopt the policy language of the plan at this point, keep the roads that have been defined in the past, at the scale that they were defined in the past, set the near-term priorities, and then set the schedule to do this with an integrated land use transportation planning in a couple of years, I think. As soon as the board's ready, we'd be ready to do it now. That'd be a great thing to do.
From your perspective, can we find common ground on this in time?
It's also important to note that this countywide transportation plan in no way has an impact in determining how the county goes going forward. That's a separate decision by the board of directors. And so there's an old canard out there, and I apologize for using this language, but roads don't lead to growth. Jobs lead to growth. This is important to preserve options for future generations of Loudoun County residents and leaders. You can retain the right-of-way. It doesn't necessarily have to be a road. It could be a bike path. It could be a pedestrian path. It could even be a bus loop. I doubt light rail will be affordable in the future, but what about commuter buses down in these east-west and north-south corridors? Preserve the options and then figure out the policies that will enable Loudoun County to grow smarter, to be a more dynamic and a more affordable place to live going forward into the 21st century. So we have more in common than we have in disagreement.
What's the Board of Supervisors going to do by July 6th or on July 6th?
I don't know what they're going to do. I'm going to hope they do the right thing by preserving the options for future Loudoun County residents, by preserving north-south and east-west connections, and understanding that Loudoun County is not an island. We're connected to Maryland, we're connected to West Virginia, we're connected to Fairfax and Prince William counties. You need to understand that reality and preserve the options for the folks down the road so that they don't curse your legacy.
Stewart, what's your crystal ball say?
Well, I hope that what they do is what I said. Adopt the good policy language here. Don't lock themselves into a $1.6 billion to $2 billion plan. Don't signal to speculative development that you're going to get these roads in these places where we can't afford to develop. And focus on the existing commuters who are stuck trying to move west to east, not north to south.